And let's start. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I am Adelis Ferro, Ade Ferro. I am the Director of Partnership at Latino Victory. I am also the Executive Director of the Venezuelan American Caucus, and I have some other hats, but today I am here as the Director of Partnerships for Latino Victory. Thank you so much to all of you that are going to watch this live Substack for being part of our family and our community. And thank you also for your continued support. We are blessed to have you. Uh, Today is a special day. Even in the midst of so much anxiety, so much news, and so much uncertainty, today is a day in which we bring, we're going to bring motivation, hope, and encouragement. It is an absolute honor to host today's live Substack conversation with Adelita Grijalva, candidate for Congress in Arizona's 7th District. Latino Victory is proud to endorse Adelita in the upcoming Democratic primary election on Tuesday, July 15, and we couldn't be more excited to stand with her. Let me tell you a little bit about Adelita before inviting her uh, into our conversation. Adelita Grijalva is a lifelong public servant, advocate, and resident of Southern Arizona. A graduate of Pueblo High School and the University of Arizona, she began her 25-year career working at the Pima County Teen Court, helping court-involved youth through a restorative juvenile diversion program. Adelita was first elected to public office in 2002, serving on the Tucson Unified School District Governing Board, where she championed the expansion of preschool access and defended Mexican American studies. In 2020, Adelita was elected to the Pima County Board of Supervisors, representing District 5. She became the first Latina and only the second woman to serve as chair, and was reelected in 2024 with over 73% of the vote. Not that many elected officials can say that. As a supervisor, she prioritized affordable housing, climate resilience, and community wellness, launching the county's first free preschool program for low-income families and protecting open spaces in the Sonoran Desert for future generations to enjoy. Adelita is a believer in public-private partnerships. She serves on multiple community boards. She lives in Tucson with her husband and 3 children, and she is the proud daughter of Congressman Raul Grijalva. So I'm going to invite Adelita now to be part of our conversation. Let me invite her. And thank you all for being here. She will be joining us very soon. Thank you so much. I want to tell you while she's connecting, she's already here.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? What a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Yeah, echoes.
Well, first of all, I don't know if you know this. My name is Adelis, and my mom called me Adelita. Full disclosure.
Is
So,
your internet connection?
can you hear me now?
I can now. It said my internet connection was unstable, so I'm trying to figure out what's going on there.
This
I
is
think we're
live
good now.
streaming. This is live streaming,
It's-
so anything can happen. Relax. This is
Oh.
organic. But I was telling you that my name is Adelis, but my mom called me Adelita too.
Uh-huh.
Oh, two Adelitas.
Two
Uh,
Adelitas.
So officially and formally, welcome, Adelita. We are so happy to have you with us today. And I think it is always inspiring to hear directly from strong leaders, especially if those strong leaders are women, Latina women like you, who are deeply rooted in their communities and committed to fighting for working families today and now more than ever. You have been a tireless advocate for education, equity, and opportunity, and we are excited for our audience to hear more about your vision. So, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Es un honor estar aquí con ustedes, a poder hablar sobre um, este proceso a llegar a Congreso, esta campaña. I mean, it's very, this is the first time I've run for Congress, even though I've supported my dad in a couple of, 11 different campaigns. It's very different when it's you running and the impact for you. And then, what it's like to be a woman and especially a Latina running. You have a lot of personal family. Like for me, my obligation is my family and my kids are number one. And so trying to make sure like I balance that with the needs and, is this the decision to run for office, making sure that it was something that I knew I could do because you have to put your whole heart into it. And so my family had to be supportive of that too. And in the middle of all of that, my dad um, se acaba de fallecer, like it's only been like 3 months. So, also making that decision was really difficult. But my family's very like strong. I was raised by a lot of very strong people, especially strong women. So, yeah, I seguimos, ahí estamos en la lucha.
Yes, we will talk a little bit about your dad during the conversation. But let's get into the conversation. And
Okay.
we have some questions that I think all of our audience, and especially people in Arizona and more, especially people in your district, would like to know about you. And this video is going to be all over our social media network. So I think it is a message that is gonna uh, get to whatever needs to be heard, especially again in times like this. Um, I think it. I think the first thing that I would like to know is let's know you a little bit. You just talk about the fact that you are a mom, but we also know that you are a wife, the daughter of that amazing trailblazer who was your dad, Congressman Grijalva. And tell us a little bit of your background and what inspired you to run for office?
Yeah. Well, initially, I'm a very proud granddaughter of a bracero. It's a very hardworking Mexican immigrant that wanted a better life. And I am the daughter of a member of Congress. And that happened in one generation because of really hard work, public education, and a lot of support. And so I think that for me, being raised by people who pushed education always. That was not going to college was not an option, not for my nana, not for my dad. Like that is the reality of our lives. And so I went to our neighborhood schools because that's what you did. You walked to your school. I lived across the street from my middle school. I went to Pueblo High School, the same high school that my kids go to. And I always knew the example of giving back. My tata would collect things from all over neighborhoods and then drive them to Sarik, where his family was from. Because it's like, no one should have too much. And if you have too much, you grow out of something, you give it to somebody else. And so I think that example of always giving back, my dad worked at the neighborhood, El Pueblo Neighborhood Center, where they would give out, food boxes and help. My mom worked in the library. And I think that example of, not everyone, you get to see people in different moments in their lives, and not everyone has the same opportunities. And so, me and my sisters, there's three of us, we shared a room. My mom and dad had a room. We grew up there until I was starting high school. Like I turned 15 and we moved to a house where my two sisters shared a room. And because I was the oldest, I got to have a little tiny room. And it's amazing. And growing up with family that's very close and tight, that's something that is really important. Um, but understanding that not everyone has the opportunities you do, and you have to fight for them. And so I grew up with my dad very involved in the Chicano movement, very involved in making sure that people had access to things. So when I started looking for, okay, so what do I want to do? One of the first things I wanted to do was work with young people. And so I applied for a position as a probation officer, and I didn't get it. And the next job I applied for was this program called Teen Court. And it was right after college. And what I wanted to do was help out when people needed help. And so I was there for 25 years trying to help families that, their child had been arrested for stuff like fighting at school, shoplifting. Kids would shoplift formula because their little brothers or sisters needed it. I mean, those were the kind of stories that you heard all the time. And what I noticed a lot is we had a lot of monolingual Spanish speaking families, and a lot of families that what our program was designed to reduce the disproportionate number of children of color in the juvenile justice system, because we see the correlation of if they get involved in the juvenile justice system, they're more likely to go into the adult system. So how do we break that cycle? So that was my job. And one of the first things I had to do was go to schools and ask them, um, what do you do when you know a child needs support, needs help? They're acting out in class. And they said, we wait until they get into trouble and then we expel them. I was like, well, that's not an option. So that's when I started looking at running for school board, because I think that I felt like I had an opportunity to be able to have a voice, especially for students. Because when I looked at the board, everyone was, excuse me, a retiree, um, for the most part, a former um, administrator in the district, or like independently wealthy. Like they had money or they had a career that they were able to do these things, and this was sort of their service. And I also think it's important to note that school board in Arizona is a volunteer position. You are elected, but it's a volunteer. So I think that doing that for 20 years really helped me to understand the importance of giving back to your community, the importance of standing up for people. And many times I was the only, definitely only Latina, the only person of color on a 5-member board. And so that really gave me the strength to understand that I'm in these places for a reason. And there's most of the young people that are in our schools look like me, but there was nobody there representing them and representing their voice. And so that's why I ran for school board. I was on the board for 20 years. I'm tied as the longest serving board member, which I never thought that would be my reality. And then I had decided that I wasn't going to run anymore. Like, I thought 20 years was a good round number. And my friend Richard Elias, who was on the Pima County Board of Supervisors, he passed away suddenly. Well, then, like, he was already on the ballot. And so in 7 days, we had to get enough physical signatures to get on the ballot. And oh, by the way, the state had just shut down because of COVID. So how do
Yes,
we
it
do
was
that?
2020.
Yep. And for us, really what we had to do is our campaigns are always driven by knocking on doors and talking to people face to face. Well, that was not something that we could do then. So how do we figure it out? And so we did. We got on the ballot. There was a primary election and a general election, and I was elected to um, the board of supervisors. I was the first Latina to ever serve as chair, and for 2 years, I was the president of the TUSD board and the vice chair of the Pima County Board of Supervisors at the same time during COVID. So it was
Oh
crazy,
my
and
God.
yeah, I think it was the only reason I could do it is because it was COVID. I could wear my pajamas on the bottom and wear like a nice shirt on top. And it was
As you,
like,
yeah, yeah, it was a moment. So, in the middle of all of this growth as a leader, as a Latino leader, as a community leader, uh, what was how was having your dad as a role model, and what impact he had in the way you have chosen to serve your community? Because I know your family is a beautiful family. You are very blessed,
yeah,
and I think that's something that it's part of who you are, and your your road, your goals, and even your future, right?
Yeah. So my dad ran for school board and he was on the school board, TUSD. Then he ran for board of supervisors and he was on the board of supervisors. And then he ran for Congress. So my very first run for school board was his very first run for Congress. So that election, we worked side by side together. You know, he's what I always noticed about him is wherever we would go, he would stop whatever he was doing if people came up and said, "Hey, I need some help." And I would, like, as a kid, I was like, we're eating dinner, or you know what I mean? Or like, we're just walking through the grocery store. And he always stopped and took time. And so I'd ask him, like, why do you, like, can't we just say we're busy? And he said, no, you're never too busy to help somebody. You're never too busy to stop what you're doing to try to figure out if there's a way that you can be helpful. And so for me, that was a very strong example, but that was something that that was the example that he was shown. You know, my nana would say, no te olvides que naciste con un nopal en la frente. And so for everyone that needs that kind of support and help, that's what you're supposed to do. So that was an expectation always. And so for me, I just grew up that way. And my my family, um, we kid around with each other a lot, but nadie se va a creer en esta familia. Like, nobody is no one is too good to do anything, and you have to work harder than everybody else. Just know that you have to do your homework. You have to work harder than everybody because people are going to dismiss you. And I think my dad knew that from when we were growing up because I'm one of three girls. My mom is one of five girls. My dad only has sisters. And so he was surrounded by women and he always put um people's needs before his own consistently. And so I think that's a really beautiful example for someone like me to get to grow up with, and then to understand that you have to translate that to showing up, and you be the person that always shows up. You be the person that when they don't expect you to be there or answer the questions that you do. And to me, that has always been an example that was drilled into me, not just by my mom, not just by my dad, but by my mom, my tias, my nanantata, my grandpa. I mean, I really do have a huge supportive family and friends. And, you know, when you can count activists like Dolores Huerta as a friend, you listen. You know, you listen to all of those examples because one of the things that I value, my Nina is Guadalupe Castillo, one of like the founders of the Chicano movement.
Nina is godmother, right?
Yes, Nina's godmother. Yeah.
Madrina, yes.
Madrina. Yeah. So my Nina is Guadalupe Castillo. I mean, I was surrounded by people who this is what they were fighting for. So their fight allowed me to have the education and access that I have. And so it is your responsibility to pay it forward. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes in our generation, we felt comfortable that, you know, the fight was over. And so now here we are back in the same kind of fight. And so it is my generation and older that have to help and support young people and let them know what the story is, because sometimes things feel hopeless. And for me, this is just one other level of the fight. And it's a fight that we have to get to have justice and access and a democracy that works for the people. So I'm very proud that that's the example that I was raised with, um and continue the fight. And now my children are doing it too. So
That's
it's
amazing.
generational. Yeah.
That's amazing. Just a little note, we are leaving the donations for the Adelita's campaign here in the comments. And also, whenever we post this live on our social media network and here in Substack, we're going to put the link so you guys can donate because, as you know, no campaign can be successful as Adelita's is without your help. So please consider donate whatever amount you can, how no matter how Every single dollar helps. So please consider donate. Here's the link, secureatblue.com right here. You can see it on the comments. And also, if you are willing to volunteer for phone banking, for text banking, if you are in Arizona and you want to help canvassing, helping with the Get Out the Vote, go to adelitaforcongress.com and click on volunteer, sign up. We need you guys. Okay, moving on, Adelita. I think this is one of the most important questions. What are some of the most critical issues that you want to address if you are elected?
Yeah, I think the very first thing is Trump has to be stripped of those emergency powers that are allowing him to really just, through executive order, do so many things that are so tragic to our communities. Like, that's number one. And I think the other is protecting sacred spaces and ensuring that we have areas in our communities, like our schools, churches, and medical centers and clinics where people can go and there is sanctuary. Because we have to have spaces where people can go who are afraid of these ICE raids, attacks in our communities. We have many people in our communities, especially in CD7, that are mixed status families. And so tienen personas con permiso y no permiso. And then the other thing is the permission part is getting stripped away. And they're talking about, ending birthright citizenship and reversing decisions that have already been made. And so those, I think, are very critical. Additionally, fighting to reverse those cuts for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. I think that across the country, once people start to feel those cuts, you're going to hear from very bright red states as well as every other color, the purple and red and blue, that are going to be mad. And I think those community members did not send members of Congress to hurt them. They sent them to help. And so we have to strengthen. I think that one of the other things my dad did really well is the Environmental Justice for All Act. And that's something that I want to continue to push forward because I think that is landmark legislation that my dad worked with many tribal communities and organizations throughout the nation, because our communities, and like the one that I grew up in is a Superfund site, disproportionately harmed by pollution and climate change. And so making sure that we're no longer ignored is going to be very important. And those are some of the big ones, like fully reinstate NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act, making sure that we fight to protect unions, because Trump right now is going after everybody. Protect everyone, protect our Department of Education, protect our sciences, our libraries, our museums, public media. I mean, there's so many things that we have to.
Women's healthcare, everything.
Everything. It's almost like when you say, what are you going to fight for? It's like, we're going to fight for democracy. We're going to fight for everything because there's so many things. And fortunately, I feel very honored that many members of Congress, especially the progressive wing, have been very supportive of our campaign, and organizations like Latino Victory, like different organizations like the Sierra Club and Reproductive Freedom for All. There's certain organizations that have really stepped up to be supportive of our campaign as well. And I think it's that network, really diverse network of support is going to help me be very successful in walking in, understanding that I have to create a really robust plan on how I'm going to dedicate my time. And it's something I did in Pima County, where you bring strategic partners in together to let's come up with a strategic plan. And that's what I'm going to do in Congress. I think it's been very successful in Pima County, and it's the only way to make sure that this very large, very diverse district gets the representation they deserve, because CD7 is very large. So if you put all of the islands of Hawaii and the state of Connecticut into CD7, we still have some Campito on the side. so it's very large. Yeah, and the needs are very different. And if you look at this district, all three ports of entry with Mexico are in CD7. So you have to have a very strong champion for comprehensive immigration reform and rights for our immigrant communities, because we're the ones that are disproportionately impacted by that.
Yes. Also, you guys, if you want to see how diverse and broad and big and amazing the coalition that is supporting Adelita, the coalition of organizations who are supporting Adelita and Adelita's campaign, you can go again to to her website, adelitaforcongress.com, and then you check on the endorsements and donate to, sign up to be a volunteer for her campaign. But
Thank you.
I check it out, all the organizations, and it says a lot that is so diverse, so big, and it tells a lot of the trust and actually the hope, Adelita. As regular people, as working families, it's a really hard time to have hope and to keep the hope. And whenever so many diverse and different organizations get together supporting one campaign, it gives you hope.
Thank you.
For me, that's very, very important and very telling. So let's talk about Latina women. Can you speak a little bit about what it would mean to be the first Latina from the entire state of Arizona to serve in Congress, to break that
Yeah.
ceiling?
Oh my gosh. One, it's very humbling. But two, I think it's very inspiring because I have been inspired by many women, Latina women, Chicanas, who just all they want, they they fought and fought and fought for access. And so when I go into classrooms, I do it like all through love of reading. I read through to like 3,000 students a year. And when I go and they're like, your hair's like mine. What's your name? Hablas español? You can see their little eyes light up because it's like, oh my gosh. And for me, if I can do it, they can do it. And I should never be like in this day and age in 2025 to be the first of anything, I feel is a disservice to a lot of people in our community. But I definitely would not be the last. And what you have to do always is you open the door, you kick the door open, and then you bring people with you. And those people also have the obligation to continue to carry the movement forward. And that's what has to happen. To be the first Latina from Arizona would be humbling, really would. But also, it's an incredible responsibility. And it's like, you feel it. And I have my daughter, the first petition she signed, she just turned 18, she just graduated from high school. The first petition she signed was for her mom. The first person she got to vote for was her mom. And so when you look at those things, and it is very humbling. It really is. To be in this position is very humbling, but it also took generations of people to help me get to this point. Generations. Nothing is ever done alone. Nothing is ever done in isolation. Es una comunidad que te apoya. Y no nomás es una persona. And that's what I keep saying to people. This is not about putting a spotlight on me. It is about making sure that this community that I have lived in my entire life has the privilege of being able to be heard in Washington. They deserve it. Everyone here does. Representation matters. And if you look at all of the women in Congress, 2% are Latina total,
Exactly.
and less are Mexican American, but 2%, right? And then if you look at all of the women in Congress, 7% have school age children. I would be one of those. So I think that there's a number of ways that you can show representation. But I feel like, speaking to your point of the diversity of the endorsements, especially when you look at the endorsements at the local level, many of those people met me for the first time. I interviewed for all of those endorsements. No one handed it to me. No one said, oh, here you go. Oh, no. We had questionnaires and interviews and talks with different groups about what is it that you're going to do. Because I don't blame people when they say, I want to make sure that when you tell me something, how do I know that you're going to back it up? And so one of the nice things about being in this community for as long as I have is that there are a lot of people that can speak to that. They can attest to it. They can say, when Adelita says she's going to show up, she shows up and she's there. And that's what I'm going to continue to do.
as the Wonder Woman behind you.
Oh my gosh, she's my favorite, Linda Carter.
I love it.
One of my favorite Latinas. Well, my dad gave me this. Mira, my dad gave me this pulsera. He
Oh
gave
my
me two.
God, your
Yes.
brazaletes.
He gave me two of them, but I thought it's too much to wear every day. So I wear the one. But it is really because it is that like you have to be able to feel that because this is not easy. Being in public eye is not easy when people say, groserías about you, things that are not true. Um, I'm okay when they say it about me because I I almost appreciate when people underestimate me because I'm like, okay, vas a ver, right? Like, I am going to show you that you can't underestimate me. But when they talk about your family and those kind of things, to me, that's incredibly disappointing and disrespectful because what we want is we want to inspire people to get involved in their communities. We want to inspire people to run for office and do things. And so when that kind of stuff happens, I'll have young people and older people come up to me and say, but look at that stuff that they said about you. Why do I want that kind of attention? So we have to change that narrative too. I think Trump made it okay to just lie and say things that are completely untrue. And we have to stop doing that. We have to stop feeding that because that's not okay. It's not okay. And it's not the way that we should be representing people and ourselves and our community. In this time in this time. We just shouldn't. We can't. We should do better.
Make lying important again.
Right? Make lying horrible again.
Horrible again.
Yeah.
Correct. So having said that, uh, what was one of the most impactful, probably pieces of advice you received as a young person? And what is something that you would like to share with your community and our community looking to get involved?
You can never forget who you're fighting for. Never. Whether it's, you're running for an office, whether it's going to work every day for your family, it's like what motivates you? What fills your heart, your corazón, your alma with the willingness to keep going? And so for me, it was never forget who you're fighting for. And that has guided me every step of the way. And also remember to do your homework. You be the most prepared. Always. Because that is the one thing that I have never heard said about me. Oh, she's not prepared. Never. You can't say it because it's not true. But I've always centered the work that I do around voices of families, educators, workers, young people, our most vulnerable communities. I mean, so I think that we're left out of the conversation sometimes. So I want to make sure that more and more people that look like me are given the authority and the power and the privilege to go into spaces that they don't feel comfortable in because we deserve to be there too. And then to anyone looking to get involved, I would say this: you don't have to wait for permission to or a title to make a difference. Some of the most impactful people that I've ever met were part of their neighborhood association. Were part of a school board. Were amazing teachers in classrooms and changed the lives of young people like me for generations. So you just have to have a willingness to get involved and volunteer, organize people. I think that is to me the really big thing, and show up for each other, show up for your neighbors because we show up for familia always. So for me, that powerful change, the power comes from the people, from the groundswell of people, and then we push people to represent us in Congress. So for me, I would be honored and privileged to represent this community that has given me so much because I want to make sure that they have a voice. We all have a voice that is not going to apologize, going to be not going to back down, not going to cave, Because the only people that I am beholden to is the people of this community in CD7.
On that same note, and we are getting close to the end, you guys. But this has been an amazing conversation. But I got a couple of more questions. One is, in this same note, let's go to Arizona, and frankly, the whole United States, America, but to Arizonans, to your people, District 7, who are probably feeling right now overwhelmed, struggling to make ends meet, and worried about putting food on the table. So many of our Latino communities are living with fear, uncertainty, and exhaustion.
Yep.
What do you say to them to give them hope and remind them that they are not and they won't be alone?
You're not alone. Many of us are going through that very same thing. I'm the mom of 3 kids. My daughter just graduated from college, and I truly don't know what opportunities she's going to have available to her because the Department of Education is cutting resources like loans and Pell Grants. Um, there was this woman who was selling fruta on the side of the road, and I said, "Are you here every day?" She goes, I have to look to see because sometimes I get nervous, right? We have people that are afraid to, um, because they're being harassed by people, to be able to make ends meet. It's like they're worried about whether they can take their son to the doctor or have food on the table. And that's the reality of many of us. But I think that we have the opportunity to make things better. We have really good elected people locally that are doing everything they can to help and support. And we need support from the federal government to make sure that that funding continues to come here and all of our individual communities so we can help and support each other. We've gone through, as a people, as Arizonans, we've gone through some very difficult times. And I wish I could say that it's not going to get worse. I feel like we have an opportunity here to make sure that when I am in the halls of Washington, I'm taking your stories with me. I'm going to be talking about you. I'm going to be talking about Margarita, has 3 jobs, trying to support her 3 children, and just wants to be able to have a home. Like, there are programs that are designed to help people who are working towards making a better life for their children. We should not be cutting programs that are feeding people in order to give tax breaks to people who don't need it. We are better as a nation. And so I wish we could all wave a magic wand, snap our fingers, and it would all be better. But there is an opportunity for us to make sure that our government works for us. And I want to be there to represent you here in Southern Arizona, because all we can do is hope. Many of us have gone through very difficult times in our lives, and we are very resilient. We are. We can get through this, and we can get through it together. And I will never leave your side. Whether I am elected to this office or not, this community is my home, and I will continue to serve it in any way I can.
People, we need to take Adelita to Congress. We need to bring Adelita to Congress. Go to
Thank you.
adelitaforcongress.com. Please donate. Please consider volunteers. Support her campaigns. We need representation. We need women representation, more women representation, more Latina women representation. And if there is one state that can be the light that will start shining with Latina women in Congress, will be Arizona. And I think this is, mi abuela used to say, don't think why, but what for. I think there is a what for in this case with you. And I think it is to do the right thing and to help a community that is vulnerable, a community that is in need of having hope, a renewed hope. And I think that's something that you can definitely do. And let's keep fighting. Let's bring her to Congress. I know these times have been tough, but if we keep fighting, these times are going to pass. It's going to be hard, but are going to pass. So before I leave you with the last word, Adelita, I want to read the statement that our Latino Victory CEO, Catherine Pichardo, wrote about you whenever we endorse you, and because I love it. She said, Adelita Grijalva is exactly the kind of leader we need in Congress, bold, experienced, and rooted in community. At a time when our democracy is being tested and Latino communities are under attack, we need representatives who understand what is at stake because they live it. Adelita has spent her life breaking barriers and delivering results for the people of Arizona. Latino Victory is proud to stand with Adelita because this moment demands fearless leadership, and she's got that in spades. So, before again, I leave you with the last word. Thank you all for watching, for following us, and for your continued support for Latino Victory. We do believe in the future Adelita Grijalva is fighting for. And we encourage you again. That's what we do. So donate to her campaign, volunteer to her campaign. Election is July 15.
Yeah.
2025 is like 6 days. It's like right now.
7. Yep.
Seven
Include
days.
include all of the 15th because people will be voting that whole time.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct.
This is the time.
This is the time. So to all Arizonans in District 7, make sure to vote and support Adelita on July 15. She's the leader we need in Congress right now more than ever before. Your voice and your vote matter. Go vote. Let's take Adelita to the U.S. Congress. And Adelita,
Thank you. I mean, muchas gracias. Muchas gracias por la plática. Muchas gracias por hablar sobre este tema que es muy importante. I think that, we have an opportunity here to make history in Arizona. And I would be honored and privileged to represent this community. But regardless of where you are, you can volunteer with our campaign. This is the time that it's going to make a difference. Today, literally today, is the last day that people can put their ballot in the mail. And I can't tell you, overwhelmingly, we've knocked on over 30,000 doors. And nearly every person is like, oh, yeah, I'm supporting you. I'm supporting you. It's like, but if you're still holding on to your ballot, you're not supporting me. So we need phone bankers to call in and say, hey, Maria, I see you still have your ballot. You need to put it in the mailbox today. It'll take you no time at all. Like, that's the kind of thing that we need right now. And then obviously funds in order to keep our messages out there because, this is a competitive race. This is not an easy race. We are going to be running all the way to the finish line. So any help that you can provide to get there is going to be greatly appreciated. I want to thank Latino Victory for having me on and giving me the opportunity to talk about our race. It's an important one. It means a lot to our community. And so I would be honored to represent in Congress.
That's wow. Let's do this. So thank you so much, Adelita. Hopefully we'll talk soon whenever you are going to the special election.
Yeah.
And we will be ready for that. So thank you so much. Please consider volunteer. Remember, East Coast, if you are watching this and you are on the East Coast, is 3 hours difference. So you can still help today to call people for them to put the ballots on the mail. So please consider volunteer. We will be working right now. Whenever we finish this live, we're going to start helping Adelita and making calls. So let's do this. Thank you so much, Adelita. Let's do this.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Adelante.
Thank you. Chao. Mucho
Bye.
gusto. Bye.
Mucho gusto. Bye.